being a Fire Emblem fan is a struggle. Imagine falling in love with the unique tactical strategy franchise that was nearly axed by Nintendo years ago, but was saved because they inserted the option to romance your favorite husband or wife characters in Awakening. Or how in today's time we've been without a new Fire Emblem game in the last 6 years. Yeah, 3 houses. Okay, I know Engage came out, but in my mind it doesn't exist, so let's not acknowledge Engage today. So what do you do if you want your Fire Emblem fix but you're tired of playing 3 houses for the 100th time? Or you don't have the money to spare for the other games? Well, enter the free-to-play mobile game Fire Emblem Heroes. And before I continue, let me give a huge shout out to my best friend Chopsticks, who still actively plays Fire Emblem Heroes. He provided me with so much information that I missed out on from quitting years ago, so thank you so much to Chopsticks. Fire Emblem Heroes, or going by its abbreviations, Feh, was released back in February of 2017. That was during my junior year of college. Wow, I feel old. Surprisingly, after 8 years of service, this game has survived the Nintendo mobile game culling. There's been so many mobile games axed by Nintendo already. Miitomo, Dragalia Lost, Dr. Mario World, and Pokemon Duel. And if you're a fan of Pokemon Duel like I was, it was not a bad game. I kinda enjoyed the novelty of it. It was a pretty interesting game, but sadly that was axed. But luckily, our little Feh has survived, and today we'll be examining the game and seeing how good it is after all these years. Feh is pretty much what you expect from a mobile Fire Emblem game. A light version with a few controllable characters at a time, so don't expect 10 or more characters in a playable map. And speaking of maps, we have relatively small phone-sized maps. Really not much else to expect for now, which is great because that's literally what I would have wanted in a small pocket Fire Emblem game. And the best part is, it's free to play as long as you have a smartphone. Minus the gacha part, which we'll get to later though. A Fire Emblem gacha was a clever idea and was bound to happen eventually. We already had a plethora of Fire Emblem characters scattered throughout the long history of its existence, so turning those characters into little collectibles for players was a blueprint for success. And when I mean by plethora of characters, Fire Emblem has way too many playable characters throughout all of their games. Like on average, it's probably like 20 per game plus. Feh was a humble little game back in its release year. The initial character roster included some of its original characters like Alphonse, Sharina, and this game's version of Anna, backed up by some of the popular characters from the Fire Emblem franchise, such as Lucina, Ryoma, Roy, Camilla, Lynn, Robin, Marth, and so many more. The initial set of characters released hailed from the most recent and popular titles of Fire Emblem, so Awakening and Fates. And after a bit of time, they finally included some of the lesser known Fire Emblem game characters. And before you go out and get mad at me for calling the lesser known games of Fire Emblem not as popular as Awakening or Fates or so on, go out in the streets and ask a normal person if they've ever heard of Fire Emblem genealogy, and you'll see that many of them don't know what that is. One of my favorite aspects about Feh was the art. Many units are drawn by different artists. Each unit had at least a main art, battle art, special, which wasn't really much of a change from the battle art, but I digress, still pretty cool, and their damaged art. The damage art gets a bit kind of risque because, well, the clothing of the character gets kind of ripped up, so you see a lot more parts of a female character than you should normally see in a Fire Emblem game. You'll see some units sporting a similar style to one another if drawn by the same artist, but my favorite part is that so many artist styles are distinct from one another. Some of my favorite art includes Jagen's artist Yamada Akihiro, who also drew Gunter, Mila, Zephiel, and various others, or really any unit drawn by Suzuhito Yasuda. And actually, fun fact, he drew for some of my favorite games out there, including both SMT Devil Survivors, Digimons, and even the anime Durarara. I'm always a fan of games when various artists get a chance to shine their work and are given the proper credit as well. Arknights does this too, and that's why it's my favorite gacha game of all time that I highly recommend everyone plays. Enough about Arknights, let's get into how the game presents itself when you log in. Upon logging in, you'll notice that you have a little lobby with all your characters in it. It's pretty cute, and it has so many layers that it can be changed into. In the lobby, you have your notifications section for updates and news about the game. The present list is for all your free goodies the game gives you, like orbs, the currency for pulling. The friend list for all your friends, of course, but it's as dead as my romantic life because all these people have not logged in for years. And the quest and mission section is where all your dailies, weeklies, and monthlies are at, where you can check to do them and redeem them for rewards. I really do like how the lobby has all your favorite units hanging out. It's a really cute touch. I'll go over each of the menu in depth below, but for a quick summary, battles for all your content, ally menus for interacting and building your units, summon for all your gacha pulling, shop for well, buying things with your real money, and miscellaneous for anything that doesn't belong in the previous categories. Let's talk about the battle menu first. In the battle menu, we have both the story and optional content. Let's go over the story first. Okay, before I talk about Feh's story, listen up. This next part is important. For anybody who wants to play more Fire Emblem games or maybe don't want to be spoiled by something in Fire Emblem stories, you might want to avoid Feh a little bit. While Feh is a celebration and collaboration of many Fire Emblem games in its history, it will spoil so many aspects of the various games. So play at your own discretion. There are so many units in Fire Emblem who have a evil form, or maybe they become a bad guy in their own respective game, or hell, even the final boss of their own game. Feh will outright spoil that for you. Even the identity of the Black Knight from Path of Radiance will be revealed to you as you play Feh. Hell, even the person behind the armor is an actual unit in the game without the helmet. So if you value not being spoiled in a Fire Emblem game, then maybe Feh might not be the game for you at all. So with that being said, maybe just listen to my video on the side. I'm not going to reveal too much, but maybe there might be a character in there that you might see in the footage somewhere, so be aware. The premise of Feh is about the adventures of the three main characters, Alphonse, Sharena, and Anna. Alphonse and Sharena are the royal siblings, and Anna is their military commander. You, the player, are actually in the game as a summoner. You are able to summon the various characters from different Fire Emblem games, and that's how they incorporate the summoning aspects of gacha into the game story. At the same time, the characters that you can summon can also be summoned by the main villains of the game, so be ready to duke it out with your Fire Emblem favorites. Each chapter features the release banner at the time, and the units that you'll be facing will be the ones that were on that banner. So for example, Book 1, Chapter 10 is World of Radiance. You'll be facing off against Ike and some Path of Radiance characters released at that time, while Chapter 11 features some Fire Emblem Echo characters released. One of my favorite touches of the game is that some of the maps are taken from actual Fire Emblem games and just simplified. Fans of the games will have their Leo DiCaprio moment when they recognize some of the maps they played before. I would love to do a whole recap of the entire story of Fire Emblem Heroes, but honestly, there's just way too much. We're currently up to Book 9, and that's just a lot of books that I have not caught up on at all. A quick overview is that our three main heroes hail from the Kingdom of Asker. This kingdom coexists with the Emblem Empire. Asker is able to open up portals to other realms while Emblem can close them. Mysteriously though, the Emblem Empire stops doing their job, refusing to close portals and let people invade from other realms. The small kingdom then ends up having a war with the big evil empire. Pretty much typical Fire Emblem fashion storytelling, nothing new there. At least that's how you know this is a real Fire Emblem game. The main heroes want to free the summoned enemies from the shackles of the Empire because they're practically being used as tools for war, and our three main characters go through various realms based on Norse mythology. So get ready to see words like Midgar, Asker, Muspel, and the likes. Book 2 is also about two nations going to war, the Nifl and Muspel. Book 3 is about Hell, and so on and so on. Because there are so many main story quests to do, most players end up just finding themselves speeding through the story because with every clear you get the pull currency orbs. So most players just end up speeding through the story to get enough pulls so they can get their favorite Fire Emblem character that is not in the Fire Emblem Feh universe originally. Unless you're reading the story, the general gameplay loop is this. Build absurdly, insanely powerful units and then hitting the auto button so that way they can just go off on their own and play through the game. And trust me, I was there at one point. I like kind of tapping and moving the units like a real Fire Emblem game, but at a certain point, it gets kind of tedious and you turn off all the animations and just skip to the part where you can just play through the game itself and get your orbs and move on. There are typically 3 difficulties to choose from for stages: normal, hard, and lunatic. For some special stages, they have Infernal and Abyss, the hardest of the hard. These 2 difficulties are there for those who really want to challenge their tactical prowess. It's important to note that each difficulty will award you with more orbs as you clear them, so you may not just settle on doing normal only, you might want to try to go for hard and lunatic so you can get more orbs for your precious waifu. Outside of story, other modes include special maps that rotate units that you can unlock by beating their respective stages called the Grand Hero Battles. Sometimes Feh will throw out fun stages that are easy to clear and give you free orbs, so hey, free money, can't argue against that. Meanwhile, the Grand Hero Battles are not easy. For the most part in Feh, if you lose a unit, you can still continue the battle until you win. But in Grand Hero battles, if you lose one unit, the whole stage is lost and you have to start all over again. While I do get that this is a throwback to classic Fire Emblem and losing a unit is detrimental to your squad, these stages can really kick your ass, so come prepared. The last special map I want to highlight is Rival Domains, and this is actual Fire Emblem levels of battles. Large scale battles where you bring in 10 plus units in a large map. It's so wide. Battling it out, yes, this is fun. However, the unfun part of this is having to build up a lot of units to actually succeed in these maps and actually play them. So, get to building. There is the Colosseum, which is used for PvP, but I won't get into that because I don't like PvP in games much, especially in gacha games because it's very pay to win. I will say though, for the longest time in PvP, you would actually fight against enemy player teams that are controlled by AI, but in recent time, they actually added an option to battle people in real time. But I am once again not a PvP person, so I'm not gonna get into that. So go crazy if you wanna do that. Next are events. Well, they're the events of the game. There are so many events that they rotate through. Forging Bonds consists of battles that feature fun dialogue between featured characters of a banner interacting with one another. This is where you see a lot of dialogue that you would never see in Fire Emblem games, like one character from Awakening talking to another one from Echoes. Like, this would never occur unless it's a collaborative game like Feh or Engage. The Voting Gauntlet is where you fight for a unit you like. So basically, it's a tournament-style community battling type thing where you want to fight for your favorite character to get to the last spot in the tournament and win. You don't really get too much out of it, so don't expect for you to bat for, say, Erica, and if she wins, you get a free copy of Erica. You don't. Tempest Trial has you fighting a number of battles to get points to redeem for units or equipable skills. Tap Battle is, well, the rhythm game, of course. All these game modes I listed are events, and as they are temporary and will be cycled through whenever they're up. There are so many more events out there, but for the most part, I'm not gonna go over it because I actually quit a while back and they added so many more that I don't know anything about, so I'm not gonna go over them. That, and they're also not up, so I can't really record myself doing them, so I'm free from doing that today. Lastly, let's go over Aether Keeps, and this is a whole lot. Basically, this mode is about creating your little towns and having your team defend against it from other players, so another PvP style type game mode. It's cute, you're able to build little pieces of the world in the way you want, play in these little stores where you can have your units interact with one another, but for the most part, I didn't bother with it because it was a lot to do. Aether Keeps is one of the many cardinal sins of gacha games where a developer wants to create content for their players to play, but unfortunately, that content needs to be not so complicated enough to scare off players to not doing at all. And plus, let's be honest here, a lot of gacha players like me, we have low attention spans and we just want to do a thing, move on, and pull for our favorite characters. The gameplay of Feh is very simplistic and stays true to Fire Emblem in the best way it can as a mobile game. In a majority of stages, like the story, you can only use up to 4 units at a time. And the majority of battles, if not all, are simply rout the enemy and you're done, so don't get your hopes up for a rare mission like Defend or Rescue. And I like to think that a majority of players are like me. You just build your units to be very strong, hit the auto button, and move on. Initially, it's cool seeing the units fight. The animations are simplistic and nothing is too crazy, but then you have the cut-ins where the art really shines the most. For me, that's where I would say most of the fun came from, the art. Shoutouts to the artists once again. Don't get me wrong, I do love my tactical original Fire Emblem gameplay, but this isn't the exact same feeling when you're playing the mainline games. While I do understand that there are harder difficulty maps and other challenging modes that you can do, I just don't get that same feeling of fun. The harder maps are usually bloating the enemy stats to be bigger numbers and are harder to kill and hit harder. And I'll admit, I'm not a big brain Phoenix Master 1 tactician that can clear maps without the use of external help. And if you guys didn't know, Phoenix Master 1 is this guy who can clear a lot of maps with like using his big brain, and I'm not that smart, so salute to him for making content to help out small, new players like me. If you're like me and you want to speed things up, you hit auto, go into the settings, turn off all combat related animations, and let things go fast. Because once you've seen the same animations 100 times over, you probably want to speed things up. And that's something I would say I kind of do miss about the real Fire Emblem games. Seeing all the unique animations for the first time was a really fun thing to experience, but with Feh, it's pretty much you just have the units go at each other and that's pretty much it. The only time a unit animation gets really exciting exciting for me is when they're a unit that can turn into a dragon or animal, because that's different from seeing a infantry unit run across the field to fight and then that's it. The weapon triangle still exists in Feh. It's color-coded too, so swords are red, axes are green, and lances are blue. Dragonstones can be red, blue, or green, while staffs and bows are colorless. But as the game kept evolving, you soon saw red archers, blue archers, red fish, blue fish, and so on. Move types do exist in this game, so making a team around a consistent move type will help you play as you keep going. There are infantry, armored units, cavalry, and flying. It's cool that they kept some elements of the original Fire Emblem in here, but for the most part, as long as you have a unit that can hit really hard, they can ignore the weapon triangle entirely. My Mary Ann is colorless and she'll just blow right through the enemies like it's nothing. So how do we overcome these hard stages, get our orbs, and then pull for more Fire Emblem characters? Well, we need to build the best units, of course. When you start off the game, you get Anna, Alphonse, and Sharina as your first playable 3 characters. From there, you can pull for better characters depending on which banners are out. When you pull for a certain unit, however, they have a special animation that plays when pulled, which is really cool. I love how they keep doing this for all the units. And just kidding, they stopped doing this after launch. I don't know why they didn't continue this. It really sucks because I thought maybe for special characters they'll have special animations and whatnot, but never came back ever again. It was a bit funny though. Some of the characters who did receive this animation were like 3-star units, so it'd be like, oh my god, I got Roy. You see this cool animation plays out and then it hits you with the fact that he's a cruddy 3-star common unit. And let me just address the elephant in the room here. There are so many banners in this game. It's cool that they have so many various characters from all over the franchise, even ones that you wouldn't expect to be playable ever. So many NPCs, good and bad, like Naga, Medius, Mila, and Duma. They just have so many characters in this game, it's ridiculous. Really, at this point, anyone can be a Feh character, and I both love and dread this idea. Love because you can be surprised by whoever, even the most obscure characters can make it into Feh. But I also dread this idea because whoever's out there trying to be a completionist, dear God, I salute you. There are just way too many characters out there, and not just that, but alter forms too. You like Lyn? Well, don't worry, there's at least 6 other versions of her, which isn't a bad thing, by the way. I like Lyn, so just gotta collect her all. The more famous and popular characters of Fire Emblem have at least 2 to 3 different alter forms, whereas the least popular ones, just be happy they were added at least to the game, I guess. At the time of recording, the total amount of units is now up to 1,234. A pretty funny number, actually. I like that. In the 8 years that this game was released, we now have more units in this game than we do have Pokemon. So many units, in fact, that it's hard to even have a proper tier list anymore. The last time that there was one was a few years ago, and if you were to ask who do I pull for, I have no idea. People will just tell you to pull for the latest character because 9 times out of 10, they will be better than anything released prior. It goes without saying, but the characters you pull for will be 10 times stronger than the ones given to you for free from maps and such. For the most part, if you're not sure who to pull for, here's a little bit of advice. Always have your orbs ready for the big anniversary of Fire Emblem Heroes. But really, that applies to any other game out there. Be ready for the anniversary events because those are usually typically huge. Unless you play Genshin Impact. But it's not what happens during the anniversary that's huge, but what happens later. During the big anniversary for Feh, they release a poll for 4 new characters voted by the community to receive a powerful alter version. This is called the Choose Your Legends event. The top 2 voted male and female characters are given a new alter form that will make them the strongest characters of the game at their release, typically. Let me just say real quick that this is a popularity contest, so if you have a favorite that nobody really talks about, chances are they may never ever win. Guys, it took Marth 5 years until he finally won a popularity contest. Marth, the supposed poster child of Fire Emblem. You would think after being referenced so many times in the series, having a Smash Bros appearance in multiple of their games, he would actually probably win one sooner than later, but it took him 5 years. But, if I can just say, it took my girl Mary Ann 1 year to win, so let's go! Some of the voting is absolutely wild. I mean, I look at the results from previous years and whatnot. We had Formortis take 4th place in the male category. We nearly had a Demon King alter. What? And in the women's category for 2nd, we had a Feh original character that isn't even playable yet. Yeah, sometimes people vote for characters that are not even playable in any Fire Emblem game for them to win so they can be finally playable in Feh. And also, Gatekeeper from Fire Emblem 3 Houses, he won over Marth in the same year. He had the #1 spot while Marth was #2, which isn't horrible, they both got in, but that just shows that people like the Gatekeeper more than Marth. I love this community sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, it's funny. It's funny to me. Also, it's worth noting that none of the characters introduced in Engage has won a single CYL yet, while you have all 3 house leaders from 3 houses won within their first year of being introduced. I'm just saying, you know, Engage was quite the game. Once again, let me just reiterate that there are free units that you can obtain by clearing certain maps, but just don't expect them to be overpowered for the most part. While yes, you can build these characters and whoever you want to be as strong as possible, some of the gacha units come with skills or weapons that are just outright busted. And to dampen your mood just a little bit, when you pull for a character, there's a chance that their stats can be increased or decreased. Units may come with 1 Bane and Boon, a decrease or increase in a stat, or they may just come out neutral with no changes to their stats, which is a not bad option because it's better than having somebody who has a -1 in attack. While it does feel disheartening to pull for your favorite units and learn that they lack in a certain stat like attack for example, it can be fixed with dragon fruits, which isn't too hard to get, but just tedious. So you pull for your favorite character, you now have them, we gotta make them strong. How do we do so? First, you need to raise their level. The max is 40, which is a little bit unusual because 20 is usually the max in most Fire Emblem games, but all good. After leveling them, you should ideally unlock their potential if they haven't already reached 5 stars yet. Potential unlocking basically raises the rarity level of a unit, so 5-star being the max. At 5 stars, units can have access to their full kit, but their level resets. No biggie though, because leveling is the easiest part when it comes to building units. At this point, you can unlock their skills, their best weapons, and so on. And then after that, you're ready to go. You're all done building a unit. Just kidding. A unit's skill set may not be optimal at the start. So what Feh introduced way back in the early day was inheritance, sacrificing one unit to give their skills to another, thus making someone even stronger than before. But don't think you can give whoever whatever. You can't have Sword Ike be using magic weapons or skills, for example. Once you figured out the optimal skills and weapons to give to a person, you have to go a bit further. They're not done building yet. Use dragon flowers to increase the stats of somebody. Merge allies allows you to use another copy of a unit to make them stronger. Weapon refinery allows you to change a weapon's stats and also add some unique bonuses to it as well. And for the most annoying one, confer blessing. Now let me explain. Depending on when you're playing the game, certain blessings are in season. When they are in season, units of the same blessing will get bonuses, but only when you have a legendary hero on your team. So without the legendary hero unit on your team, it's pretty much useless. Confer blessing allows you to basically change a unit's blessing to match the one in season. And if you ask me, it's a lot of work just to get a little bit of extra points in a stat to make your unit a bit stronger. Personally, I kind of find it a bit of a headache. You also have something called Aid Essence, which, okay, look, I'm gonna be real. There's a lot of things you can do to upgrade your units and make them stronger, but I kind of give up on trying to keep up with everything. Also, it doesn't just end there. While we do have some normal units in the game, and altars that can be quite unique and powerful than the original, there's also so many different special typing of units. Let me go over a bit of them. We have legendary and mythic units, dual or harmonized units which features 2 characters in 1 unit, which comes packed with a global skill that you can use during the map, which gives you even more added bonus. Ascended characters, rearmed ones, attuned, and Emblem, which pretty much if you played Fire Emblem Engage, Emblem characters, pretty much you equip them to another character, make them even stronger. There are just so many different typing of units that it's a lot to keep up with. This game, as you can tell, has a lot of things added since launch that it's just so hard and it makes your head spin when you think about it. And if you think any of that is bad, let's talk about power creeping. Power creeping, in case you're not familiar with it, is when a previous unit in a game is no longer considered the strongest because a newer one came up and showed it up out of nowhere. So let me give you a few examples. Back in the day, if you were an OG player, get ready because you're about to get hit with some psychic damage right now. Hector was considered the strongest unit at launch. He's an axe armored unit, so he moves slow, but he can take a punch, as long as it's not magic, of course. But he came with a skill at the time that was so broken and unique to him: distant counter. He can counterattack enemies regardless of range. Normally, melee units can be attacked from afar without repercussion. With this, fragile Twinkie-ass archer Takumi will get his ass smacked down by Hector's axe. If you had Hector, you were feared and respected amongst every single player. That is until enter Ike. Ike doesn't have distant counter. Instead, he has his unique sword, Ragnell. Ragnell is a really strong sword that actually came with distant counter built in. So because of this, he frees up a skill slot so he can use something else that is not distant counter. On top of that, Ike has Aether, a combination of two different skills, Soul and Luna. Soul lets you recover HP based on half the damage dealt, and Luna reduces the enemy's defenses. Aether has two skills in one, increasing Ike's survivability and overall making him a monster when he has it ready to use. That also couple it with like skill inheritance from other units, Ike was a monster ready to kill every single player out there. He was really strong at the time. That is until enter Lyn. But not normal Lyn on launch, but her alter, Brave Lyn. Brave Lyn came with a unique and powerful bow. She's also a horse unit, so she can move fast. She came with Dragonic Aura, a 30% boost in damage based on her attack stat, Swift Sparrow, which grants her an additional +4 in attack and speed if she initiates combat, and to top it all off, she came with Sakei's Blessing. If a foe uses sword, lances, or axe, they cannot counter attack, thus nullifying Hector and Ike's distant counter. Okay, so you get the idea. Power creeping was a huge thing, and this was all within the first 1 to 2 years of Feh's release. In today's age in Feh, well... I'm not gonna read all of that. And to top it all off, she's a healer. A healer who can hurt you. Offensive healers is not a new thing in Feh. This was something way back in the early days as well, but holy cow is Sakura very strong. And also another really strong unit, Edelgard's Altar. And the sad part is, if you're watching this video months or even years later, if the game is still going on of course, these characters I just featured are probably already power crept. If you're a former Feh player, and you may have heard the rumors that everybody and their mothers have like paragraph description long skills, you've heard right. It became Yu-Gi-Oh! Card levels of description, and it's only gotten worse. Before I stopped playing Feh, I thought maybe things won't get worse than this and they might get better. Nope, I was wrong. And there is a severe lack of TLDR on skills in-game, so without outside help, you have to just do a lot of reading. Or you can just follow the simple rule of if a skill has a lot of words to it, it's probably gonna be good. Ultimately, I just say pull for your favorite characters or units that you like. Yes, there will be the occasional, yes, this character is really good, you should pull for them, but in my experience of playing gacha games, the meta characters will eventually fall off. That or you'll end up quitting the game, so until you quit the game, just pull for your favorites, be happy, and then just move on whenever you're done playing the game. That's probably the best way to live, honestly. Oh, and this just in, as I'm writing this script, they actually released a new dual hero thing with Marth and his wife, Sheeta, I believe, where they actually have, no joke, the Fire Emblem as a skill. And don't ask me what it does or if he's good as a unit. I don't know. I'm not gonna read all of that. No. Here's some last few additional features with units. In the recent years, they actually added the option to customize your own main character. There's not too many selections, but hey, at least we can finally put a face to our main character who had a hood on for many years. You can also give them a unique weapon to use in certain stages, but not all, so don't get too excited. There's also, once again, the engage option, which I'm not gonna go over, but that's there if you wanna do that for more power for your units. A pair up feature as well for more power. There's also ally support, so when two units of a high support level are together, they'll gain some additional stats to do more damage. I will say though, I do like the summoner support. It's the closest thing you'll get to marriage in-game with yourself and another character. Besides that, when you pick your favorite, they'll also become stronger because of the bond you have with them. That's it. Finally, let's go over a bit of the summoning aspect of the game. There are so many banners, as I've said earlier. You have new banners, reruns, and even some that have some units that haven't been together before in the same banner. It costs 5 orbs to pull, and when you do pull, you get a choice between the color orbs for a chance at a unit of that color. Now, how this game differs from other ones is that you have a selection of 5 units at a given session. You must perform at least 1 pull before you can choose to dip out, but there's a benefit if you choose to keep going in the same session. If you keep going, you'll have a discounted pull. Instead of 5, you'll have 4 orbs until the last pull, which will be 3 orbs. So a total of 20 orbs to pull for 1 full session. Pulling 40 times in a banner will finally let you spark a unit if you haven't got the one you wanted yet. Sparking is basically when you choose a unit instead of pulling. It would take you about 160 orbs to finally spark, but only if you stayed for all summoning sessions. I haven't played the game in a while, so I'm not entirely sure if sniping for a specific character or just staying for a full summoning session is the best option, but to each their own. And if you happen to run out of orbs, well, you can always just buy some more in the shop. This is me trying to transition into the shop section of the game. Okay, let's go over the shop. This is where you can buy all your orbs for pulling. The lowest package is 3 orbs for $199 USD, making orbs about 66 cents, while the highest package is 170 orbs for $74.99. Personally, I've played the game mostly free to play and got a lot of my stuff for free, so you could probably get by without having to buy so much orbs. Several years after launch, they released Resplendent Heroes. Every so often, they release a new outfit for a currently existing character. These outfits are basically inspired by the Feh original worlds and regions, updating the art of old units. They have some updated voice lines, and on top of that, characters with the outfit will get a +2 in all stats, making Resplendent outfits sort of semi-pay to win. To get the said outfits, you need to pay $4.99 USD each. It would cost you well over $600 to get every single outfit if you've never had any prior. However, with the Feh Pass, you will receive all new outfits starting from when you first began that subscription, with no added cost. However, you cannot retroactively collect the previous outfits without having to pay for the $5 fee. So for the completionists out there, good luck. Now, you may be wondering what the heck the Feh Pass is. Well, it's the game subscription pass that you get for paying $10 a month, but it's not some battle pass, but rather a set of bonuses that you get from paying. Some of the bonuses include quality of life ones, where you're able to set multiple battles and auto battle right away instead of having to hit that option every single time. You also get a rewind feature that allows you to restart a few turns rather than restart the whole entire map when you fail. You get some exclusive Feh login bonuses and quests that lets you get more orbs, special banner and 5-star chances, the Resplendent outfits as I said above, and 2 heroes will receive a Resplendent outfit per month, a focus charge for pulling that helps you get 5-star units from a banner rather than off-banner ones, and you can marry up to 3 units at a time rather than just 1, you non-committal scumbag. This also gets raised to 4 heroes once you stay sub to the pass for at least 2 months straight, and 5 once you hit the 3rd month going onwards, but once you cancel the pass, you do not get to have the option of having more than 1 anymore. And really, the only con for having this pass is having to spend $10. If you're an active player to Feh where you're constantly logging in and doing all these missions, it's honestly a pretty good deal if you're invested in the game. For me personally, I just think that logging in is enough, but if you want more bang for your buck, then the Feh Pass is a not bad deal. Fire Emblem Heroes has become an abomination of a game since its launch. It's honestly impressive to see that this game has lasted as long as it has, but with all the updates and characters and skill descriptions getting longer and longer, it's a lot for me to keep up with. For those who are still playing the game today, please tell me, are you still playing the game? Because I don't know how you can do it. I dipped out a long time ago. I really want to get back into it, but it's really intimidating, honestly. It was a fun game to play back in my day, but personally, I have so many other gacha games that have my attention that I just can't keep up with anymore. Instead of playing Feh, I'll just personally be waiting here on the sideline until they announce the next Fire Emblem game that I hope to God is not Engage 2. But with that said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you're still playing Feh, how do you do it? You're insane. Being